The Batman will be coming out in the cinema soon, and I've had this idea for a while now. I love the character of Batman, and I'm very excited for this movie, so I'm going to do a pre-write. In this pre-write, I want to stay close to source material, so we'll keep some aspects that we've seen from the trailer. We're going to keep Riddler, and it'll be a dark movie with more of a backstory. It's a bit more closer to Batman, but we're going to stick with the Batman we all know and love. A carefully crafted, stay in the shadows and attack without being seen kind. We're also going to stay with darker Riddler. Now, I do like the more comic accurate one, which is kind of weak, but extremely smart with lots of riddles. So I want to implement that into this character, but give him a darker backstory. Before we go through the pre-write, consider subscribing. I work hard on my videos and I'd really appreciate. Maybe even leave a comment with your feedback. Anyways, let's get right into it. So this is how we're going to start the movie. It opens with black and the bat symbol ejects into the sky, which is followed by a grappling sound. There's a group of thugs and we'll get to see them taken out one by one, not seeing Batman until the final thug, where he turns around and examines the scene. This is where he sees a white question mark graffitied on the wall. The screen fades out and back into him in Wayne's manor with a big open area where all Batman's gadgets and suits on display. He takes off his mask and Alfred asks how it went. Bruce gives an explanation on the thugs and a question mark on the wall. A question mark, Alfred says. His lip is quivering and losing his balance, so he sits down. Bruce asks if he's alright. Alfred says he's okay, he just needs to sit, but also says that his suit is ready. He puts on the suit and goes to the party. This scene shows how Bruce is balancing his two lives kind of effortlessly, as he's been doing it for a while. Halfway through the party, he looks outside and sees the bat symbol once again. He rushes outside to his car and opens the trunk to reveal the bat suit. We then see Jim taunt to some GCPD at the crime scene and turns around to see Batman and gets startled by him. He talks about how this person has died and was close with Thomas Wayne when he was alive. He also explains how the other scenes like this, people all close to the Wayne family, all with question marks and clues. Batman asks if they know anything about the person killing these people, and Jim replies, there's only a nickname. There's a pause, and he says the Riddler. We don't know much about him, but that's not all. This is a message to you. The screen shows a letter to Batman and the person killed with duct tape over their head, saying no more lies. The room fills with silence and a phone rings. You came. I've been waiting for you. Batman says, who are you? With Riddler replying, saying, you know, maybe better than anyone. Deep down, you know. Riddler, Batman replies, bingo. But you know me a bit better than that. Or should I say, the Waynes did. Well, there's only one left now. What do you want from him? Batman asks. It can be cruel, poetic, or blind, but when it's denied, it's violence you might find. The answer's justice, Batman says. Riddler smiles through his mask and the call ends. So that's the opening of the movie. We learn a lot about Riddler, and the movie starts off with a bang. It incorporates a past with Riddler to be uncovered or remembered. Alfred obviously knowing the name Riddler, and Riddler having some sort of feud against Bruce. Now, I know there's a lot of detail in this, but I want to create a picture of the movie. I wanted this to be exciting, mysterious, and interesting. Batman says to search the room with black lights and look everywhere. No detail is too small. Batman goes back to Wayne Manor and tells the computer to get everything up on Riddler. It is locked by Wayne restrictions. Batman slams his hand down on the desk. What's wrong, sir? Alfred says. Batman then explains how the files are locked. Alfred says that it's weird, but maybe it should stay hidden. Batman questions him, and Alfred says if he continues going on the way he is, there'll be nothing left of him. Batman then replies saying, so be it. The computer then pings, and it's the GCPD. It shows Batman back at the scene and GCPD saying what they found with blacklights. They found drawings and words on the wall like justice and Wayne's, and pictures like umbrellas, cages, and money symbols. It's all leading to the Waynes, one of the GCPD said, and ask how Batman's involved in this. And of course, him keeping his identity a secret says he doesn't know, but we'll find out himself. Jim then says what he'll do now. The camera looks at Batman and he says he has an idea, while the camera moves with his eyesight and zooms in on Umbrella and back out into a building with it on. The camera pans down and it's the Penguin's nightclub. Batman drops on a few of his thugs and Penguin says he said you'd come. He sends the rest of his thugs at him and gets away in the car. Batman gets in the Batmobile after taking out the thugs and there's a car chase. Batman hits his car into the side of Penguin's and flips over the car and takes the driver out from above. Then grabs Penguin by the collar. Tell me what you know, he says. I don't know anything, I swear. Tell me about Riddler, Cobblepot. Batman looks sternly at him and Penguin says, Okay. It's a new guy. He hasn't been here in years and said he knows a lot about you. He knows your weaknesses. Where's he going next? Batman says. I don't know, the guy speaks in riddles. You know something, Batman says. The only thing I know is he said something about a train station. Good enough, he says, punching Penguin one more time, causing him to be knocked out and brings him back to GCPD to be locked up. Bruce Wayne goes to the train station in a car with a bat suit in the boot. He isn't suspicious but walks around inspecting everything, very on guard. A large screen flickers on. Hello, Gotham City. I'm here to unmask the truth about this corrupt place we call a city. No more lies. Bruce is still observing the room while Riddler's talking and comes to paintings on a wall and hears a ticking sound. He follows it and it takes him to a bank heist painting. His finger trails along the side of the painting and a wire is seen on his finger. He puts two and two together and realizes the ticking sound is getting louder until he jumps out the way and an explosion sets off. People are screaming and running the same way, but in the chaos he sees a man looking straight at him, standing out from the crowd. It's Riddler. Gas starts ejecting from the floor and Bruce starts losing his balance and falls to the floor. Bruce is now tied up to a chair with a rope and regaining consciousness. Lights above blind him and the small TV flickers on. Brucey. What do you want with me? Bruce says. I'm just here to unmask the truth about this cesspool called a city, and you're a part of this too. How am I a part of this? Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were, Batman. You know me? Of course I know you. We're playing chess and I know your every move. So what's your endgame, Riddler? I'm going to highlight the corruption in this city, and that includes you. I'm going to expose you for who you really are. And who's that? Riddler chuckles. I'm surprised your butler hasn't told you about your family yet. So you tell me. I will. I'll show you who you are before exposing you to the city. Do you even know what it's like for us normal people in this corrupt place, constantly getting pushed down by the rich, controlled by those in power? But that'll change, starting with you. When I show you who you are, you'll be begging for me to kill you. Bruce opens his mouth ready to talk, but the TV turns off and he breaks the rope, keeping him to the chair. He is now in a big open room by himself. There's a riddle on the ground and clues all over the wall. He realizes this has something to do with his father being mayor. It says on the ground, the sins of my father. What happens next? I'm going to sum up quickly. Batman gets told about a robbery and he goes there and it's Catwoman. They fight and Batman wins. They have a complicated relationship and become friends. Batman fights more Penguin thugs with Catwoman, trying to resolve one of her problems, which also ties with Riddler a bit. And then she leaves to do her own thing. Batman then gets a call from Jim, and he says we got him. We then see GCPD get the Riddler, and there's a question mark and a cup of coffee. Riddler's taken to a GCPD cell and Batman comes in to see him. Batman, it's good to see you. No more games, Riddler. Tell me how this involves me. Riddler chuckles and says, You don't think your father just became mayor, did you? He did some pretty bad things, and that's just the start of the corrupt city. You feel it, don't you? The same thing as him. The rage. I'm not him. Aren't you? I saw you take out Penguin's thugs. All that rage. They felt it. Even your little friend saw it. What friend? The cat. I told you, Batman. I'm always 2 steps ahead. What have you done? Batman shouted. You'll see, he smiled and laughed. It's just one big riddle. Batman ran back to the Batmobile and the camera shows his face with pure concentration and thinking every scenario and clue. The clues of Riddler come together in his head and he figures it out. This was his plan all along. The cage signifying prison. He wanted Batman to see Penguin. He wanted Catwoman as leverage. And the words, "I'm always 2 steps ahead," rang through his mind. Riddler wanted to get caught. He rings GCPD and there's a scene where Riddler says showtime. An explosion goes off, setting him, Penguin, and all the Penguin's goons free. Batman gets there and speaks to GCPD. He escaped, Batman, and Penguin's gone too. Stand down, he wants me. A big screen flickers on in front of everyone and Riddler shows up on the screen. The screen reads, "Serial killer broadcasts. Gotham, this city we call home, is full of corrupt people in power. Even the Batman. He's not a hero, he's a poser. And very soon you will learn his identity. Then I kill him. To better this city. And Batman, if you're watching, go to the clock tower and drop your gadgets." Batman goes to the clock tower and drops his gadgets and picks up a note saying get in the van behind the doors. Batman opens the doors and gets in. There's a scene where Riddler's looking at the track on the van and says he's coming. Turns to Catwoman, kneels down in front of her and sees you've got a little friend coming. Catwoman spits on him and he slowly puts his hand to his face and wipes it off. Bad kitty. And punches her. Batman comes through the door. "Bruce, good to see you. You make any moves?" And she dies. "So sit." Batman sits and Riddler straps him up to the chair. "So Bruce, what we're going to do is I'm going to take off your mask and show everyone you're Bruce Wayne. Then I'll kill you in front of millions. Sound good?" "You never said you'd kill me." "No? Must have forgot. Before I forget, we have another guest. Come in, please." Jim gets pushed into the room and falls to his knees. The Riddler sets up the camera. "Citizens of Gotham, this is the first of many to cleanse this city." Riddler walks behind Batman. He was today's guest, the Batman, and to find out his identity. Riddler places his hands on the mask, but the camera starts malfunctioning. No, what's going on?" "Ready, sir," Alfred says from his mask. Batman uses the sharp blade on his wrist to cut the straps, and Riddler turns around. "Looks like I'll have to do it myself." They both fight and trade punches, but from behind, Penguin hits Batman and he falls to the ground. And when it seems like he's losing, Catwoman jumps into the fight. The fight results in the Batman winning, and Riddler slithers backwards. This isn't the end, Riddler says, pulling a button from his pocket and pressing it, blowing up some buildings in Gotham. Batman beats Riddler and backs off. Riddler says, "I knew you had the rage within you," spitting blood from his mouth and getting arrested and taken back to GCPD. Now that was the movie. That took a while to make and a lot of detail. I also want to say the post-credit would have been the Joker introduction. Now I know this was a lot of detail, and in all honesty, I do think the actual movie would be better, but this was my take and it was only made in a day. If you enjoyed, subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.